Okay, so are you ready to dive into this Switch 2 news?
I am, yeah.
It feels like we've been waiting forever
Yeah,
for this, and
yeah.
you sent me like a stack of articles
Yeah,
to
and
unpack.
it's a
So
lot to go through.
we are going to cut through the hype, and figure out what actually matters
Right.
for you, the listener.
Absolutely.
So get this. We're hearing about a bigger screen, a mysterious new button. Some are even saying it's blurring the lines with handheld PCs.
Yeah.
Like, are we entering a new era
Right?
of gaming here?
Yeah. It's fascinating, I think, to see Nintendo pull this off.
Yeah.
Despite all the leaks, like, they still managed to generate massive excitement with that January 16th reveal trailer.
Totally. It was like 2 minutes of footage and the internet just exploded.
Exploded, yeah.
So what did we actually learn from it?
Well, we definitely know now that the Switch 2 is confirmed for 2025.
Okay.
No firm date yet, but they've announced a Nintendo Direct on April 2nd to spill the beans.
Okay, so circle that date, everybody.
Yes.
April 2nd.
Yes.
Mark your calendars.
They also confirmed backward compatibility, which is a
Yeah.
big one. So your physical and digital Switch games should work on the new console.
Okay, that's a huge relief for anyone with like a big library
Yeah.
already. Although they did mention some potential exceptions to
Yeah.
that. So I guess we'll have to wait for the fine print on that one.
Right.
But let's get to the good stuff. Let's talk about the design. That larger display with the slim bezels really jumps out
I
at
don't
you.
know.
Some are estimating a 7.5-inch screen
Yeah, that would be.
we could be talking about.
Yeah, it's definitely a step up. And the kickstand has been completely redesigned too.
Oh, really?
It now covers the entire back of the console, and it's fully adjustable.
Nice.
So no more flimsy stands or awkward viewing angles.
So it seems like they're really listening to user feedback on this one.
They are, yeah. Yeah.
And what about the Joy-Cons? Because those have been redesigned, and there's talk about maybe a magnetic system instead of the rails that were on the original Switch.
That's right. Yeah. Potentially with a magnetic system, which could be a major improvement, for stability. And it could potentially address the dreaded Joy-Con drift issues that have plagued some players.
Oh, yeah. We don't want that.
No, not at all.
And plus, the dock also got a sleek makeover.
It did. It did.
2 USB-C ports, the headphone jack.
Yeah.
They're covering all the bases. But here's where it gets really, really interesting.
Okay.
The Joy-Cons also have this brand new C button,
Right?
and nobody knows what it does.
And nobody knows what it does. The speculation's running wild. Some think it's linked to a social hub, like maybe a revival of the metaverse concept.
Oh, wow.
Others think it's for capturing gameplay, which seems a little redundant since the left Joy-Con already has a capture button.
Right, yeah.
It's a little strange.
And then there's this like wild theory floating around out there, and I'm kind of intrigued by it. What if the C button, combined with a rumored new sensor, actually lets you use the Joy-Cons like a mouse
Oh,
in a special FPS mode?
interesting.
Imagine that.
That would be,
Level of precision in a handheld shooter.
yeah, that would certainly be, I think, a unique selling point, especially for fans of first-person shooters who want a console-like experience on the go.
Yeah.
It would be fascinating to see how developers would, like, utilize such a feature.
Totally, totally. So let's get into the tech specs. So the rumor mill has been churning about this NVIDIA Tegra T239 chip. Some experts are saying it could put the Switch 2's power somewhere between a PS4 and a PS4 Pro.
Yeah,
That's a huge leap from the original Switch.
absolutely.
Right.
And if you think about what that means for you, we're potentially talking about experiencing PS4-level graphics
Oh.
on a handheld device.
Yeah.
It opens up a whole new world of possibilities for game developers.
So no more compromises on visuals or performance just because you're playing on the go?
Exactly.
But what about the specifics? Like, what kind of improvements are we talking about?
Well, think smoother frame rates, more detailed environments, and potentially even higher resolutions. Games could look and feel significantly more immersive and polished.
Okay, so no more blurry textures or choppy gameplay.
No.
But there's also been a lot of buzz around something called DLSS. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, DLSS, or Deep Learning Super Sampling, is this fascinating technology developed by NVIDIA. In simple terms, it uses AI to upscale the game's resolution, making it look sharper and more detailed.
So it's like getting a visual boost without sacrificing performance.
Exactly. It's especially important for the Switch, too, because it could allow the console to hit that rumored 4K resolution when docked without needing, ridiculously powerful hardware.
Right.
And that leads to a really interesting question. Will the Switch 2 finally bridge the gap between consoles and handheld PCs?
Right. Because if it can deliver that high-fidelity graphics, potentially mouse-like controls, is it still just a handheld console? Or is it something more?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a question that's going to define, I think, the future of portable gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just at the beginning of this conversation.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder, like, where is Nintendo going with this?
Yeah.
I mean, they've always been innovative,
Right.
but this feels like a real push into new territory.
Totally. It's like they're not content with just being a handheld console anymore.
Right.
They want to compete on a whole new level.
Yeah.
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's go back to those PEC specs for a second.
Okay.
You were saying the Tegra T239 chip could be a game changer.
It has the potential to be, yeah. It's a significant upgrade from the original Switch's processor, and those early benchmarks are promising. Imagine, for the first time, a Nintendo console capable of delivering a truly smooth and visually rich gaming experience on par with what you might expect from a home console. So we're not just talking about prettier graphics, but a fundamental shift in how games could play and feel on a handheld device.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that require a lot of power?
It would, which is why the rumored 8 gigabyte or even 12 gigabytes of RAM is so crucial. That's a massive increase from the original Switch, and it would give developers a lot more headroom to work with.
So faster loading times, larger game worlds, more complex AI.
It seems like
It seems like the possibilities are kind of endless.
possibilities are pretty much endless, yeah.
But let's talk about something that's been generating a lot of buzz, and that's DLSS.
Yes,
You mentioned it earlier, but can you explain how it actually works?
sure. DLSS is like having a secret weapon for graphics. Instead of rendering every single pixel at the desired resolution, it cleverly renders fewer pixels and uses AI to upscale the image to the target resolution. This allows the console to create stunning visuals while maintaining smooth performance.
So it's like getting 4K quality without needing a supercomputer inside the console. That's pretty ingenious, but does it actually work? Like, does it look good in practice?
From what we've seen in other applications of DLSS, the results are impressive. The technology has matured significantly in recent years, and it's capable of producing visuals that are almost indistinguishable from native rendering. Of course, the final outcome will depend on how well developers implement it in their games.
That makes sense. But even if it's not perfect in every game, it seems like a huge step forward for handheld graphics.
Absolutely.
Now let's shift gears and talk about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and that's games.
Yes.
What can you tell us about the potential launch lineup?
Well, I mean,
We know there was that Mario Kart teaser in the reveal trailer.
it would be a major shock if a new Mario Kart wasn't a launch title. It's a system seller for Nintendo, and it would be the perfect way to showcase the Switch 2's graphical horsepower.
I can already picture those colorful tracks rendered in like glorious detail.
Absolutely.
But what about other Nintendo staples? A new 3D Mario game seems like a safe bet, right?
Absolutely. It's been a while since Super Mario Odyssey, and fans are hungry for a new adventure. A new 3D Mario game would be a huge draw for the Switch 2, and it would give Nintendo a chance to experiment with new gameplay mechanics and level design.
And what about those long-awaited sequels? Metroid Prime 4 has been in development for ages, and Breath of the Wild 2 is still shrouded in mystery. Could they be launch titles?
It's possible, but I think it's more likely that they'll release later in the Switch 2's life cycle.
Yeah.
Nintendo might want to space out its major releases to keep players engaged over the long term.
That's a good point. They wouldn't want to front load all the big hitters
Right.
at launch. And let's not forget about the potential for brand new IPs.
Oh, yeah.
Nintendo's known for its creativity, and I'm sure they have some surprises up their sleeves. What are you hoping to see?
Personally, I'd love to see a new IP that really pushes the boundaries of what's possible on the Switch 2. Something that leverages its unique features, maybe incorporating those rumored mouse-like controls or even augmented reality elements.
That would be amazing. A game that truly feels like it was designed from the ground up
Yeah.
for the Switch 2. Okay, let's talk about something that's been generating a lot of speculation, and that is backward compatibility.
Okay.
Nintendo confirmed it, but they also mentioned potential exceptions.
Right.
What do you think that means?
It's probably a mix of technical and legal hurdles. Some older games might not be fully compatible with the Switch 2's architecture,
Yeah.
and there could be licensing issues with certain titles.
So it's not a guaranteed slam dunk,
Right.
but I'm still optimistic that most of our existing library will transfer over.
Yeah,
After all, wouldn't it be a shame to leave all those classic games behind?
I agree. And knowing Nintendo, they'll make every effort to ensure a smooth transition for players. But let's be honest, backward compatibility is great, but it's the new games that will ultimately define the Switch 2's success.
Absolutely. The promise of new experiences, innovative gameplay, and stunning visuals, that's what gets gamers excited. And speaking of excitement, there's one aspect of the Switch 2 that we haven't really talked about yet, and that's those Joy-Cons
Okay.
and the potential for mouse-like controls.
Yes.
Is it just hype, or could this actually be a reality?
It's one of the most intriguing rumors surrounding the Switch 2. The leaked images and that brief glimpse in the reveal trailer suggest that the new Joy-Cons might have a built-in optical sensor, similar to what you find in a computer mouse.
Imagine flipping your Joy-Con over
Yeah.
and suddenly having that level of precision in a first-person shooter.
Right.
It would be a game changer for genres that rely on precise aiming.
It would.
But is there any evidence to support this theory?
There have been whispers of a dedicated FPS mode within the Switch 2's operating system, potentially allowing developers to take advantage of this rumored feature. It's all speculation at this point, but it's a tantalizing possibility.
It definitely raises the question,
Yeah.
what other surprises might Nintendo have in store for us?
Exactly.
What if this FPS mode is just the tip of the iceberg? What other innovative features might they be cooking up?
That's the beauty of Nintendo, right? They're always pushing boundaries and finding new ways to surprise and delight players. Remember the Wii Remote and the DS touchscreen? Nobody saw those coming, and they completely changed the gaming landscape.
Exactly. They're masters of innovation, and I have a feeling the Switch 2 will be no exception. But for now, we'll just have to wait and see.
Speaking of waiting, there's one more crucial piece of information we're still missing. The price.
Right. The question on everyone's mind,
Alvin.
how much is this going to cost me?
The rumors have been swirling, with estimates ranging from $300 to $400. Ultimately, the price will depend on a number of factors: the final hardware specs, manufacturing costs, and of course, Nintendo's overall pricing strategy.
They've always tried to strike a balance between affordability and offering a premium experience. But with all these rumored upgrades, I wouldn't be surprised if the Switch 2 landed on the higher end of that price range.
Especially if they want to compete with the likes of Sony and Microsoft. But here's a thought. What if Nintendo goes in a completely different direction?
What do you mean?
What if they offer multiple versions of the Switch 2 at different price points?
Like a base model with fewer features or a more powerful version for hardcore gamers.
Exactly. It would allow them to appeal to a wider audience and potentially capture a larger market share. It's just a theory, of course.
Yeah.
But it would be a bold move that could really shake things up.
I love that idea. It would be like a classic Nintendo move,
It would.
offering something for everyone while still pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Okay, before we move on, let's touch on those Nintendo Switch 2 experience events that are happening worldwide starting in April.
Yeah.
What do you think we can expect from those?
I think it's safe to assume there'll be a showcase for the Switch 2. Attendees will likely get hands-on time with the console, play demos of upcoming games, and experience those rumored features firsthand.
So it's a chance to test drive the Switch 2 before it hits store shelves.
Exactly. And it's a smart move by Nintendo, generating buzz and excitement, gathering feedback, and fine-tuning the console before launch.
Plus, let's not forget the potential for exclusive reveals and announcements.
Oh, for sure.
They might unveil new games, partnerships, or even surprise features we haven't even considered. Speaking of which, you mentioned earlier that the Switch 2 could blur the lines between consoles and handheld PCs.
Right.
It's a fascinating idea, but is it realistic? I mean, what would it actually take for a handheld console to truly compete with a PC?
That's the big question, isn't it? It's not just about raw power. It's about the entire ecosystem. The operating system, the games, the online services.
So it's not enough to just have impressive hardware.
Exactly. The Switch 2 would need a more open platform, allowing for greater flexibility and customization. Imagine being able to install different operating systems, run emulators, or even stream games from your PC.
That would be incredible. But would Nintendo ever go that route?
Yeah.
They've always been fiercely protective
Yeah.
of their ecosystem.
Yeah. It's a tough call. They might be hesitant to give up control, but they also recognize the growing demand for a more PC-like experience on handheld devices.
It's a delicate balancing act.
It is.
They want to maintain their unique identity while also appealing to a broader audience.
Yeah. And let's not forget about the games themselves. If the Switch 2 wants to attract PC gamers, it needs a library of games that caters to their tastes. We're talking about more complex, demanding titles that push the boundaries of what's possible on a handheld device.
So it's about more than just ports and remasters.
Exactly.
It's about creating original experiences that take full advantage
Right.
of the Switch 2's capabilities.
Exactly. And that's where things get really exciting. Imagine a future where the lines between consoles and PCs become so blurred that they're practically indistinguishable. A future where you can seamlessly transition between playing a game on your TV, your PC, and your handheld device.
It's a future I'd love to see, and the Switch 2 could be the catalyst that makes it happen. It feels like we're on the verge of a major shift in how we think about gaming, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And I think what's really interesting is that we're seeing this convergence from multiple angles, consoles becoming more like PCs, mobile devices becoming more powerful. It all points towards a future where those lines are just blurred.
Right, and Nintendo, they love to shake things up.
Oh, yeah.
It makes you wonder what kind of like wild cards they might have up their sleeves for the Switch 2. I mean, we've covered like the leaks, the rumors.
Yeah.
What about those features we haven't even considered?
Well, I mean, think about what's happening in the wider tech world right now. Haptic feedback is getting incredibly sophisticated. Imagine feeling the texture of different surfaces or the impact of explosions through the Joy-Cons.
Oh, wow.
That could add a whole new layer of immersion.
Ooh, that's a cool thought. And what about augmented reality? I mean, we're seeing it everywhere else, so why not on a gaming console?
I think that's a real possibility. Imagine using the Switch 2's camera to project holograms into your living room or overlaying digital elements onto the real world.
Right.
You could create some truly mind-bending gaming experiences.
We've seen Nintendo dip their toes into VR before.
They have, yeah.
Could the Switch 2 be their triumphant return?
A dedicated VR headset for the Switch 2 is definitely within the realm of possibility. And remember, they've always prioritized affordability and ease of use. What if they could crack the code for a truly accessible VR experience? That would be huge.
That would definitely disrupt the market. Now, here's a big one. What about cloud gaming?
Okay.
Could the Switch 2 tap into the power of the cloud to play games beyond its hardware limitations?
That's a fascinating question. I mean, cloud gaming is becoming increasingly viable, and it could be a way for Nintendo to offer a wider variety of games, including those from other platforms, without being restricted by hardware.
Right.
Imagine playing the latest AAA titles on your Switch 2, anywhere you have a decent internet connection.
Okay, now my mind is racing with all the possibilities.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what Nintendo actually has in store for us.
Me neither. This is what makes a new console generation so exciting. It's a blank slate. It's full of potential.
It's not just about the specs, it's about the dreams, it's about the possibilities. And I think the Switch 2 has the potential to be something truly special.
Agreed, yeah. It could be the console that redefines what it means to be a gamer.
So let's recap what we've learned in this deep dive today. We know the Switch 2 is coming in 2025, and it's packing some serious upgrades. A larger screen, redesigned Joy-Cons, a powerful new chip, and, of course, backward compatibility.
But what's really got people buzzing, I think, is the potential. Mouse-like controls, augmented reality, cloud gaming. The Switch 2 could be the device that really blurs the lines between consoles, PCs, and mobile gaming.
It's a console that could appeal to casual players, hardcore gamers, and everyone in between.
And as we wait for more official news, let's keep those conversations going. What are your hopes for the Switch 2? What features are you most excited about? Let us know your thoughts, because the future of gaming is something we create together.
Well, folks, that's it for our deep dive into the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement. We've explored the facts, the rumors, and the dreams. It's been a fascinating journey, and it's only just begun.
Until next time, stay curious and keep on gaming.